This is Algebra 2, test number 4 study guide from sections 1-1 through 2-1. Number 1 says use the vertical line test to determine which one is a function. Then your lines are, I drew them in there for you guys, but on the first one, there's two lines that go like that. On C, there's a line that goes like that. On B, there's one that goes this way, and then you have the two curved lines for letter D. But your vertical line test, remember vertical line test, just draw vertical lines on it. You can see there's two lines on that one. It crosses through, it just got to cross through one vertical line more than once, so it's not a function. This one, each vertical line you draw only crosses through that one time. C is the one that's a function. This one is a vertical line, so it crosses through them all an infinite amount of times, and then for each of these, they'll cross through more than once. So the one that doesn't cross through more than once is C. Simplify by combining like terms. All we're doing is adding up each of these values. The ones that are like terms, negative 7c and positive 3c are like terms. So negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4c. And then negative d and positive 8d. That's like 8 minus 1. That gives you positive or plus 8d. And that's all you can do with that one, combine like terms. Number 3, you need to distribute that 3 first. 3 times negative y is negative 3y. 3 times negative 5 is a negative 15. Bring everything else down, which is just plus 5y. And then do what you did for number 2. Combine like terms, negative 3y and positive 5y. 5 minus 3 is positive 2y minus 15. Solve the equation. 4y minus 6 equals 5 minus 8y. Bring your smaller y over to your larger one, or bring your smaller variable to your larger one. In this case, negative 8 is much smaller than positive 4. So undo, we want to bring that one to the other side of the equal sign. So anytime you're bringing something over, you want to undo minus 8y. So undo it by adding 8y. If you add it to the right side, add it to the left side. 4y plus 8y is 12y. Minus 6 equals 5, and these will cancel each other out. Bring everything else to the other side. Get rid of minus 6 by adding it. If you add it to the left, add it to the right. You have 12y on the left. This will cancel. Equals 5 plus 6 is 11. And then that says 12 times y. Undo 12 times something by dividing by 12. Do the same on the right. This will cancel. Leaves you with y equals 11 over 12. And there's no number that goes into both 11 and 12, so that's a simplified fraction. 3y minus 11 equals negative 5 times y minus 6. You have to simplify one side completely or both sides completely before you try to bring anything over the equal sign. So we want to distribute negative 5. Negative 5 times y is negative 5y. Negative 5 times negative 6, and negative times the negatives are positive 30. So bring the rest down. 3y minus 11 equals that stuff on the right side. Bring your smaller y to your larger one. Negative 5y is smaller, so we want to bring that one over. Undo minus 5y by adding it. If you do it to the right, add 5y to the left. 3y plus 5y is 8y. Minus 11 equals negative 5 plus 5 cancels out, 30. Get rid of minus 11 by adding plus 11. Add the same thing to the right side. You're left with 8y on the left. This cancels, equals 30 plus 11 is 41. Get rid of 8 times something by dividing by 8. If you do it to the left side, do the same to the right side. Y equals, so these will cancel, 41 over 8. As an improper fraction that's simplified. There's no number that goes into both 41 and 8. Number 6, you have to distribute 6 to both terms inside. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 0.8. 6 times 8 we know is 48, and then you have to move the decimal over one time. So it becomes negative 4.8. Do the same thing with the negative 0.2. Negative 0.2 times 5x. 2 times 5 is 10, but you have to move the decimal over one time. So it becomes negative 1.0x, or negative 1x. And then negative 0.2 times negative 4. Negative times a negative is going to be a positive plus. 4 times 2 is 8, but you have to move the decimal over one time. So it becomes 0.8 equals 3. So combine all of your like terms that are on your left side of the equal sign. Combine 6x and negative 1x. That gives you 5x. Combine negative 4.8 and positive 0.8. So 4.8 minus 0.8 leaves us with negative 4. Bring the rest of it down, equals 3. Get rid of minus 4 at this time by adding it. If you add it to the left, do the same to the right-hand side. You're left with 5x on the left. These will cancel. 3 plus 4 is 7. And then get rid of 5 times x by dividing by 5. Do the same to the right. X equals 7 over 5. Before we can undo divide by 8 on this next one, we have to get rid of plus 6 on the right. So subtract 6. If you subtract it from the right, do it from the left. Negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. Equals, we still have x over 8, and this will cancel. So that says x over 8 or x divided by 8. Undo divide by 8 by multiplying by 8. If you do this, multiply to the right, do the same exact thing to the left. 8 times negative 10 is negative 80. Equals 8 divided by 8 will cancel out x. Number 8 says 8 plus 8n equals 40. This is a positive 8 up front. That's the same thing as plus 8. So undo plus 8 by subtracting it. If you subtract 8 from the left, do the same to the right. It'll cancel out and leave you with just 8n on the left. And 40 minus 8 is 32. Get rid of 8 times something by dividing by 8. Do it to the left, do it to the right. N is 4. Distribute 4 to both terms. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times 6 is positive 24. Equals what's still on the right. Get rid of plus 24 by subtracting it. If you subtract the left, subtract the right. 4y is left on the left. These will cancel out. 44 minus 24 is positive 20. Get rid of 4 times something by dividing by 4. You do it to the left, do the same to the right. These will cancel, leave you with just y. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Number 10 says we're solving for the indicated variable. We're solving for t. So we have s equals 3r cubed times t. So all of that says is s equals 3 times r cubed times t. So everything's multiplying by t on the right-hand side. So it says solve for t. So that means we want to get t by itself at the end. So it's multiplying. We know to undo multiply, you divide. Divide by everything that's not t. 3 is not t, and r squared is not t. If you divide the right by 3 times r squared, you do the same thing to the left. Divide it by 3 times r squared. These will cancel out, leaves you with just t. That's what we were looking for. S over 3r squared. Do the same thing for number 11. This time we're looking for u. That says t equals 2 times u over e. Get rid of divide by e first by multiplying by, not by 5, by multiplying by e. If you multiply the right by e, multiply the left by e. So now you have e times t equals, these will cancel out, leave you with just 2u. Get rid of 2 times something by dividing by 2. If you do it to the right, do it to the left. E times t divided by 2 equals, these will cancel, just u. That's what we were looking for. Now says to simplify this, do what's inside parentheses first, but then we have to do exponents first. 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. So we still have negative 6 plus 25 in that first set of parentheses. And we have to do what's in the second set of parentheses. 5 minus 3 is 2. Again, do what's inside parentheses first. Negative 6 plus 25 is a positive 19. That's like subtracting 6 from 25. So we have 19 times. We can do 2 cubed in one step right here. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So now we have 19 times 8 since they're right next to each other. We know 9 times 8 is 72, carry the 7. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 7 is 152. 13 says write the ordered pairs of the related functions. So we have 5 points we have to write. The first one, if we look at this one, we'll just call it that first point. That's -1, -2, I'm sorry, +5. That's the first one. Then it'll be -1, +2, then 0, +1, and then it'll mirror it on the other side. 1, +2, followed by 2, +5. It says find the domain and range. Remember, your domain are all your x values, so your domain would be -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and your range would be all of your y values, 5, 2, and 1. Again, you don't have to repeat those numbers. It says graph the relation, find the domain and range. It says to graph the relation, find the domain and range. It's x comma y still. So your first one, know that this is our x-axis, this is our y. -1, +1/2. So we go to -1, +1/2. You have to do a little estimate and make your graph great and good and big to where you can see it though. Second one says -1/2, -1. So again, x's value is -1/2, -1. 3/2 is the same thing as 1/2 for the next one. So 1/2 and 0 for your y value. Then 2, and again 1/2 for your y value. So 2 as your x value and 1/2 as your y value. So if you graph those 4 points, it would look like that. It says find the domain and range. Your domain are all of your x values. So this is x, or your input values. So -1, -1/2, 3/2, and 2 would be your domain. The range are all of your y values. So 1/2, -1, 0, and 3/2. So your range is 1/2, -1, 0, and 3/2. And it says make a mapping diagram. Mapping diagram, you just do like this. You put your inputs in the one on the left, all your x values, so -3, 1, 3, and 4. And that's just your x values. And put your y values, or your outputs, in the one on the right. So -6, 2, -5, and 3. So -3 goes with -6. Straight across, just like that. That shows that relation. 1 goes with 2. 3 goes with -5. And 4 goes with 3. So that's what it would look like. But where the difference comes in is look where -6, then 2, then -5, then 3 is. 2 and -5, they need to be written in numerical order, the smallest to the largest. So instead of having 2 and then -5, just reorder it. And again, you don't have to do anything fancy. Just make it numerically correct. -3, this is the one on the left again, the inputs. Then you should have -6, -5, then 2, then 3. And you'll see the relations. -3 still goes with -6, but that's not supposed to say -1. 1 goes with 2, so it has to go down to this one. 3 goes with -5, and 4 goes with 3. That's the correct. This one's incorrect. This would be your correct mapping. Then it says 4f of x equals 2x minus 5, find f of -3. So f of -3 equals 2 times -3 minus 5. Again, you don't do anything with this f of -3. You just leave it as that. That's just like saying y. do 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6 minus 5. So f of negative 3 equals negative 6 minus 5, and then negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. So f of negative 3, or y, if you want to read it that way, equals negative 11. 17 says, suppose f of x equals 4x minus 2, and g of x equals negative 2x plus 1. Find f of negative 3 over, or divided by, g of 0. So what you're doing is you're running both of your equations. So f of negative 3 equals, and then you do your f of x equation, 4x minus 2, over, it says g of 0. So g of 0 equals negative 2 times x. Oh, let's write that in. G of 0 equals negative 2x plus 1. So you're just running those two equations with the values plugged in. So 4 times x minus 2 becomes 4 times negative 3 minus 2. And negative 2 times x plus 1 becomes negative 2 times 0 plus 1. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And negative 12, so we'll have negative 12 minus 2 on top. And negative 2 times 0, anything times 0 is 0 plus 1. Then when we simplify the last part, negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So I'll write it over here. I know it's out to the side. Negative 14 is your simplified answer.